So today we're going to talk about emotional development in infancy and childhood, breaking it down into three core concepts. We have emotions, we have attachment styles, and finally how those two come together to create the building blocks of personality. So imagine, right, you're a little kid and you're playing with blocks, right, and you're having a good old time, and you're sad, but like only sad. There's no nuances to this sad. You haven't grown and learned enough to be like happy sad. It's not a thing. So, one woman, Carol Izard, identified 6 basic emotions based off of Darwin's past theories and studies and research being done. And it said that when we're younger, these emotions are rapid, they're automatic, and it's all responsive, right? Darwin's work was on, how we evolved into the people we are today. And so these basic emotions, they're about protecting ourselves, right? So these things are interest, right? You're going to be interested in the things that keep you happy, healthy, safe, naturally. Joy, happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. And if you're like me, I'm picturing little guys in my head. Literally little guys in my head. But these are the building blocks, and eventually a lot of scientists have decided that we develop these 6 things break into more things. They like branch out like a tree and become a lot more things. These things like pride and nerves and things like that. But they start under these big umbrellas. More specifically, even further so, the 2 umbrella terms of negative and positive emotions. But then as you gain life experience, you go through more things, you sort things into categories, you put labels on things, and there's more distinction between your specific types of sadness or happiness. For example, right, when kiddos have tantrums, right, they're really feeling sad. It's coming out with bursts of anger, though, that's probably what we personally are recognizing and seeing within these kiddos. And so a lot of people don't understand that the best thing to do, unless they're harming themselves or harming somebody else, is to do nothing. Let them work through the sad and let them sort out that anger. Because eventually when it all boils down and they're just sad again, they're going to wind up coming to you, because for them sadness means look for comfort, because again, this is innate, automatic, keep you alive instinct. And so, right, these are how our emotions begin, how we form them as we grow up. But in our childhood, just remember, your emotions come in 6 things, right? These 6 emotions are interest, joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. They're innate, automatic, and biologically wired to keep you alive, because you're a baby. You're so little. So those are the things to remember. They're automatic, they're innate, and there's 6 of them. They eventually develop into all of the emotions we feel today, but for the time being, we don't really understand that yet. So then, now, we can get into attachment types. And attachment is simply broken down to a deep, emotional, enduring bond between 2 people, right? When they get upset with you, you're gonna still love them, right? When you're a little kid and your parents go, you didn't brush your teeth, we have to put you in timeout. You didn't decide you hated your parents forever. I hope. But maybe you did. Maybe they deserve that. That's your prerogative. So, it's an enduring relationship or bond between 2 people, and this attachment functions purely as your safe haven from danger, and it provides your secure base to explore. And a lot of people have discussed in the past about how strange it is for you to be like, I need safe, but I need to explore at the same time. So there's nuances to that. And there's some people that have studied it, like Spitz, who you can see other videos on YouTube. They're kind of scary, though. Viewer discretion advised. I'll put them in the little thing down below. But, whatevs. these baby videos are him having gone, and these kids have been without parent or specifically mother for long periods of time, and their reactions to other people entering the room are drastically more intense. They either just cry, scream, like they're being dismembered, or they just like do nothing. So it's very strange, uncharacteristic. And then another guy was John Bowlby, who recognized that this, this attachment is characteristic of relationship itself, like not the child, that they're normal, and that it's innate and has biological underpinnings. Like we are hardwired to search for that connection in an adult, and it is essential to children's mental health. Without these secure attachments, we do not learn, and it is very important that you have someone. A very unfortunate statistic back in the long time ago's orphanages where these children have nobody to put this attachment into saw a 70 to 100% fatality rate in their infants because they lacked this attachment. Then eventually Mary Ainsworth comes along, and she recognizes that there are differences in attachment. She's the one that kind of decides that there's a hierarchy to attachment, right? You're going to attach yourself more to your mom than your babysitter, maybe your teacher more than your babysitter. It just depends on what they do for you and how they care for you. And she kind of recognizes that clingy and avoidant behaviors are characteristics of insecure attachment. And she divides attachment into insecure and secure attachment. And this insecure attachment has these three kind of types where students or children alike may be resistant to relationships, they may be avoidant of these relationships, they could be disorganized. These are kind of the, end result of these insecure attachments and the way they manifest within children. And the type and security of an attachment is directly because of the quality of care. If they're not being cared for, they're going to have those insecure attachments, and it's just going to be harder for them to learn. And these two things come together, and they become the foundations of your personality and your temperament. Temperament traits come on really early in your life. You're either, it's things like your activity level, your effort for control, your behavioral inhibition, and your negative emotionality. So this is like, are they crying a lot? Are they angry? Are they restless? These kinds of things that kind of pop up really early in childhood. And then eventually, right, these help become the building blocks for personality. These traits are called OCEAN. That's the little abbreviation, OCEAN. And that stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And again, these are your building blocks. You build onto it like Legos or Minecraft blocks, and that becomes your personality. I mean, those are the foundations, the scaffolding for who you're going to be. And the good thing is they're stable, but they're modifiable, right? The scaffolding isn't permanent. We do not leave it there forever, but it helps shape and frame the building. And importantly, the things that shape them are like the genes, like maybe the environment influencing whether your genes are going to even be expressed or not. And some genes may influence child outcomes only when acting with environmental factors. It just depends. And then some genes may even make some children susceptible to both good and bad environments. So these genes might make it easier for these kids to, go into those bad behaviors. Other genes might be like, ooh, they're going to be really stellar. And you have to be able to, as a teacher, understand that these traits are all cultivated. You have to provide an environment that presents positive traits in the first place. You want them to be able to pick them out from what you're showing in class or doing in class, and you also have to understand that these students have to practice these. These are not, I pick it up and now I'm permanently like this. These are things that you do every day. They're part of your personality that you have to practice them and do them a lot. So as teachers, it's important for us to provide environments that present these positive traits, but most importantly, allow students to uphold them. And as teachers, we need to be able to provide a good fit for all of these different personalities. So, hope you learned a thing or two. Thanks for watching.